Take a look around lively old London, buzzing crowds, we sweat and we revel, red-cheeked shouts and songs in the flicker of the gaslight. Eager blighty bursts from the cobblestones, racing, climbing, blooming fertility, born from secret seeds that are scattered in the night time. London is fed upon the meat of the dead. They're one shallow inch below the town. Underground, underground, leave them underground. Them that whispered dreams that only poisoned us, them that told us lies of their bravery, them that preached of progress and put us in the poorhouse, them done horrid murder on bloody stages, them that loudly crowed their humility, lords and dames that sung in the chapels on a Sunday. All quiet now, their mouths are stopped up by mud. They lie flung in rags and make no sound. Underground, underground, leave them underground. Those who fought for something better, those who taught by how they lived, loved ones taken long before their work was done. Underground, underground, leave them underground. Underground, underground, leave them underground. Underground, underground, leave them underground. Underground, underground, leave them underground.
Good morning, everyone. That is Underground by the one, the only Austin Wintory as part of the original soundtrack for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's a banger. If you have not listened to that OST, I recommend you do because it don't quit. It goes hard, man. It goes real hard and firm, as you would hope. How are you guys doing? Everybody good? Everybody rocking and rolling? Everybody feeling lively? Dare I say, I have been playing Metaphor, ReFantazio. I've been playing, of course, more Silent Hill 2. And having a great time with them. Metaphor, it slaps. Okay, not for everybody. If you don't like these Atlas sort of Persona-y games, it's not going to magically be for you, because it is pretty like outdated in terms of graphical standards, but the art style and artwork, I think, takes the cake and really shows why like art direction is more important than anything. But it's very, very good if it's your type of game, and I encourage you to try it. They have a freaking massive demo on Steam, so if you're like maybe not, just go try the demo. I recommend, though, if you're going to do the demo, turn off everything else, turn off YouTube on the side, put your phone away, just take it in.
Degrees Below donated $5 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, you mention Lost often, but have you seen From on MGM Plus? It's quite enjoyable. It's like Lost but with horror. You should check it out.
I have not heard of that. I'm going to be honest. I didn't realize MGM had their own streaming service until this moment. I had no idea. But you say it's called From MGM. Interesting. I mean, if it's like Lost, but they've not like totally screwed it up and they have an idea of what they're doing, then I'm in. Because Lost was amazing. It was just the writer's strike led to them not having a clear idea of what they were doing, and so then they just lost track of what the themes were and what the answers are going to be to some of the questions that they had posed, and so it just fell apart. But that's interesting. Thank you. It's a part of Amazon Prime. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Also, real quick, Basil Barrel Spinner, I want to say thank you, Basil, if you're in here, if you watch this later. I, for some reason, my tips history page through Streamlabs didn't update, but Basil on Monday gave a very generous $47 like tip through that. Very generous. Thank you, my friend.
Super chat. Remnant 2 has a new DLC if you are still interested in the game.
Thank you, Aiden. I think I've gotten some emails about it. Like they've been asking me to try it, and it's typical with like DLCs or expansions. If you've ever made any videos talking about any of this stuff, they'll send you like a bunch of emails being like, hey, we're about to update it. We got more stuff. So it's pretty normal for them to do that, but they've been reaching out about that recently. Which I could see hopping over there and trying it. It's just there's so many games right now. So many. And look at this. They just posted a hands-on preview for the game we've been most excited about. This is breaking news, guys. The game we've been most excited about on this channel that we have been watching closely for months. Infinite Nikki. They finally posted a hands-on preview. It's about time. This is quality content right here, I'll tell you what. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. I wonder what they actually do think of it. I actually am kind of curious.
Through adorable visuals, thoughtfully designed stages for exploration, and solid action, the new areas we got to try out gave us a glimpse of the variety Infinity Nikki has to offer.
Thank you. Who are you?
For more on all the latest games, keep it locked.
It does look kind of cute, honestly. Target kids 9 to 10 years old. Consumers 40 years old. I don't know. I'm checking this game out for my girlfriend. Don't mind me. ... I mean, I think it looks cozy. I don't know anything about it. We're not going to watch this, but still, I think it looks cozy. It looks fun. Could be a good relaxation kind of game. Can I find... I will say it is next to impossible to talk about anything Ubisoft related without like trying to find an original source, and you're just flooded with like the rage grifter types that don't play games. Like they don't even cover video games, but they just love whenever anything is like having troubles, they report on it and flood the search results with it. So I'm like, I want to find the original source for this reference, because an analyst came out and was like, hey, we are thinking Ubisoft needs to cut around 40% of the workforce, about 80%. But finding the original source is next to impossible, because if you try to search for 8,000 jobs, Ubisoft, whatever, you're just flooded with all these videos. Ubisoft has gone woke, so they're cutting 8,000 jobs. And it's like, no, an analyst said that. Like, what are we talking about, man? It's so annoying. You just can't talk about like anything nowadays without, like, there were videos going up where they're like, oh, X company is going bankrupt. And it's like, okay, tell me you don't know Tell me you don't know what the word bankrupt means without telling me you don't know what the word bankrupt means. It's a matter of cash flows, my friend. It's insane. Anyway, there's plenty to talk about there.
Over.
One of the most shocking announcements, though, that happened yesterday. You guys know where I'm going with this. This is actually news segment. This is an actual thing. One of the most shocking announcements that kind of came out of nowhere. You got to respect Rockstar for doing it this way. They just come out of nowhere and drop this stuff. This, of course, it had been rumored for a long time, but there was no hint like, okay, next week this is coming. It just happened out of nowhere. What am I talking about? In case, October 29th, coming to PC. Red Dead Redemption is coming to PC. Officially. Not through any crazy emulator crap. It is coming to PC officially. Now, the studio that's making it is called Double 11. Okay? Double 11. They are a UK-based company out of Middlesbrough in England. And their games include, I mean, they pretty much just do ports. That's pretty much all they do. They brought Prison Architect to the Switch, Lego Harry Potter to the Switch, Crackdown 3. I think they worked on the PC port of this, I think, because it was developed by Sumo, but anyway, they worked on that. Prison Architect to mobile, took over development from Introversion Software. They did Minecraft Dungeons, developed with Mojang. They did Songbringer to iOS. I don't know what that is. Rust, they helped with that. RimWorld, they worked with them on that. Red Dead Redemption, they brought it to PS4 and the Switch, and now they're bringing it to Windows. They're also working on Grounded and then Prison Architect as well. So it seems like they are one of these companies that does a lot of contract work to help with development of different things. I'm guessing with ports. I'm guessing that's what their specialty is, given this. Yeah, they opened the second one in March of 2022. Double 11 announced their collaboration with BGS to develop content for Fallout 76 later in the year. So they've even been contracted by BGS to make Fallout 76 content. That's interesting. Okay. And then they're also announced as the lead developers for Prison Architect 2. Interesting. So, big studio. They do a lot, and they've had their hands on a lot of different projects over the years, but they've been tapped to do this, which is interesting. The Rockstar, what was it? Grand Theft Auto Collection? Is that what they called it? What did they call that? The one from just a few years ago that was just like totally horrible. Related history, maybe. Gameplay, no references. Similar reception, controversies. Sierra. I'm thinking about the most recent one. The just total disaster. Complete Edition? No, Trinity. That's one. This one. That was Grove Street Games. That was like its own team. Okay, I was worried that they were using the same team for this. But these are the guys that developed that like disaster of a port for those OG GTA games. But this is a different team entirely. So fingers crossed. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. There's been some people that have looked at it and done comparisons and seen that there's increased like draw distances, level of details increased. So it looks like it's not just going to be the Switch version playing on PC. It looks like it's actually going to be scalable. There's going to be some improvements there, which I am glad to see. And so long as it runs well, I'm happy. Bite size, my boys in Middlesbrough will do a good job.
That's most definitely what's up.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, shocking news. I don't think any of us were braced for it, but it's happening. It's happening. And I don't know I don't think they say how much it's going to be. But I would guess they probably charge like 60 bucks for this pretty easily. They say there's also support for NVIDIA DLSS 3.7. Okay, hold on. What the hell is 3.7? The last I heard about was like 3.5. Is that just... Am I just out of the loop on the naming scheme? I guess so. I guess I just haven't heard 3.7 thrown around. 3.5.1 quality. And then 3.6 quality. Okay. And then 3.7 that actually retains some shadow detail. Okay. Okay. Well, the point is they are actually managing to crank like really, really modern upscalers and stuff, which is great to see. Even I'm not even sure if Metaphor does any sort of DLSS or anything like that. I'm not actually sure if they do. I'm trying to think back to the settings in the menus. I'm not even sure if they have any of that. The aliasing is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but still. But they're supporting that. They're supporting FSR 3.0. They're supporting frame generation, adjustable draw distances, shadow quality settings, and more. So I guess if we just read this, we would have known and wouldn't have to do those comparisons. But it is actually happening, and we're getting it on PC. I know some people have also memed on it. It is on Steam. Let's see, Steam. And then Red Dead Redemption. Is this it? Yeah. So they still don't have a price. But people have looked at this and have gone down to the requirements. And the minimum requirements are an i5 4670 or 9590, 8 gigs of RAM, a GTX 960, 12 gigs of available space. They recommended 2070. Now, some people were memeing on this because they're like, wait. If we go just Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead 2's recommended specs are like a 1060. How on earth is the 14-year-old game? How are those recommended specs higher than the recommended specs on Red Dead 2? And here's the deal. If we think for a moment, all this hinges on what is recommended. What is this achieving with this hardware? Because it doesn't do you any good to say we recommend having a 4090. That's our recommended spec. Okay, well, to achieve what? Is that to achieve 1080p at 30 frames? Then we have a problem. Or is the 4090 required to run it at like 4K with no upscaling and ray tracing and blah, 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 all that stuff? Then you're like, okay, I can understand why you'd recommend a 4090 there. But with this, I would guess, I don't know what the original intent was, but I would guess with the launch in 2019, this was probably targeting like 1440p and no ray tracing, no stupid stuff like that. Just ray tracing probably at 30 because the Red Dead 2 ran on consoles at 30, and so that's just what they consider to be a decent target for what you could get with this. If anybody has a 1060, let me know what frame rates you were getting in Red Dead. But with this, I'm assuming that this is like targeting 4K 60, and so the standards are higher. That's what the recommended spec is. It will scale on the lowest settings with weaker hardware like a 960, but still, it is... if you want to crank those resolutions, you're going to need some firepower to be sure. This also, of course, comes with the classic Undead Nightmare DLC included in the box. Yeah, look at that. In the box, no special DLC or anything. It's all included. So there you go. Any gameplay improvements? No mentions of anything like that. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. I would not expect that. Honestly, the game plays pretty well. It's one of the things about Rockstar games is that they don't tend to reinvent the wheel from year after year. So there's some like control improvements or animation improvements going to, of course, Red Dead 1 to 2, but they play very similarly. So I don't think it'll feel bad. You know, it's not like Dead Rising where the control schemes were like not at all up to modern standards. You try to aim with like go ADS with your gun and you can't strafe anymore. You can't move, use like the D-pad to aim it, and it's super unintuitive. This is actually pretty intuitive even today. And I would imagine there's also ways to like reroute stuff if you need to. But in terms of gameplay improvements, no, I don't. I think if you're hoping for them to add like new hunting missions or stuff like legendary animals, you're going to be disappointed. It's going to be Red Dead 1, which is all it needs to be, in my opinion. That's all it needs to be. I mean, this shot looks great. Look at that. That looks great for a 2010 game. A port of a 2010 game. Come on. I don't think they're going to be doing any upgrades to like the clouds. That's one of the things with Red Dead 2 is the cloud tech was amazing, especially for 2018. Really impressive with the volumetric clouds. I don't think they're going to do any revamps there. But even still, like this shot looks very, very good. It gives me pause where I'm like, maybe they did? Maybe? Like that looks pretty good. They've added the long draw distance, the slight bit of fog and gradation off in the distance. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So I'm here for it. I'm down. Now, price point, of course, is the thing that's up in the air and up for debate. I would guess this is probably like a $50 to $60 game. I think 70 would be a stretch even for Rockstar, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. And a lot of people will buy it because for them, they've never gotten to try the game at all. And you know, this I guess kind of leads us into a secondary discussion, which Jacob, feel free to include this in the same clip because I think it's pertinent. But with this, it makes me think of the Until Dawn remake that they just dropped. I've been playing this on PlayStation 5, giving it a shot. And it's because I'm a fan of the original game. It was one of the first games I put a lot of time into when I first got my PS4 Slim. I thought it was so cool. 2015, like graphics wise, this game was amazing. And yeah, it's campy and stupid and cringe, but it's this choose your own adventure thing, and you can try to save all the survivors. It has a ton of replay value as a result of that. Different decisions and relationships can lead to certain survivors getting to situations where they die versus live. Super cool. I love the game. You know, it's one that holds a special place in my heart. Having said that though, this remake is $60. It doesn't really add a lot. They reblocked a lot of scenes. They redid a lot of cinematics. They redid lighting. They redid models. And it does look, for the most part, much better than the original game. There's some shots and scenes like this one where they just straight up changed the art direction. The original game, it was very blue and cold like this almost through the whole thing, versus in the remake, they start much warmer and then they get cold as the night goes on, as you get closer until dawn. I like the thematic choice because they're like, no, it starts out warm, it starts out comfortable and safe, and then it grows more dangerous and cold and frigid as time goes on and as the night progresses. So I understand the artistic direction and why they did that. I'm not sure if it's their place doing the remake to make those artistic changes. You know, I think to a certain extent, I'm just not comfortable with that because I'm like, it's kind of core to the artistic vision of the game. You know, it would be like the Silent Hill 2 remake if they just got rid of all the fog. They're like, nope, we're just not doing that because it was a limitation of the hardware at the time. We're just not going to bother. You'd be like, well, like, come on, man. You know, you'd be like, what are we doing? Come on. So I get that it's a remake, but when I think remake, I think improving and remaking the original to retain the feeling of the original and the vibe and the intention with it, but bring it to a new audience, which this does to a certain extent. But there's some changes they made that I felt were intentional pivots away from the original art direction and original intention with some of the art. And I personally prefer the original. Granted, I'm a fanboy of the original, so maybe this wasn't designed for me, but still. The models look better in the original. I don't see that, man. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by better. Maybe you like the I don't even know what you'd say. Like, it might just be that it's more familiar, but on a technical level, I think the models all look way better in the remake. You know, they redid some like facial capture, and they had to like block some scenes, because the original game, they were trying to crank this facial capture tech so much that every shot was just a super close a super close up on each face. So each shot was like this close, because they couldn't render anything behind them at any decent level of fidelity, because they were trying to crank it all right here on PS4 hardware. And so they were able to back off the camera a little bit, show some more contextual data and detail, and it works quite well. And I do think they made a lot of improvements, but for $60, a lot of people feel that it is too much. It's just too much. And there's no $10 upgrade path. There's nothing like that as far as I'm aware. So if you want to enjoy it, you just got to pony up the cash. And it's a lot. I think it's 60 on Steam. I think is it 60 or 70 on PlayStation? It's something like that. It's full price. And full price remakes, to me, I'm willing to go full price if it's something like Mafia Definitive Edition and it's like a total remake of the game. Like, you can't even tell it's the original game. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Mafia Definitive Edition versus original. This will blow your mind. This will blow your freaking mind. Gameplay comparison. So, like, this is the original from 2002, I want to say, something like that, versus the remake. Totally redone. Everything's redone. These are all pre-rendered cutscenes and everything on the left, where it says running real time on the right. And if we go forward to like real-time gameplay and footage, you can see here, this is the definitive edition. Totally overhauled. I probably don't need to tell you which is the definitive edition. You can probably tell. It's pretty clear. So, like, but this is the original. That is a remake, okay? There is nothing from the original in terms of assets or footage like that they've kept. Everything is redone. This, I'm willing to pay full price for. You don't have to be willing to do that. But as a consumer, I feel like this is an effort worthy of a full price, because it's effectively a whole game. They're making the full game from start to finish. For Until Dawn remake, I'm like, but you had the game, and then you like crank some dials and you redid some stuff, sure, but this is a whole other level of effort, okay? And I think Definitive Edition was still like 40, or I think it was $40. I think it was cheaper than full price. They didn't even charge full price. But like, look at these shots. Come on. It's amazing. And then the gameplay, they're going to show the different gameplay here in a second. This is driving. Man, look how far we've come. Isn't that crazy? This is just my weekly segment where I tell you to go play Mafia Definitive Edition. It doesn't get enough love, I'll tell you what. It's ridiculously good. Very, very good. And then you play this, you go right into Mafia 2. You can choose whether or not you want to go into Mafia 3. But going from this straight into Mafia 2, those games will change your life, dude. The way they tie together is so freaking good. So good. Anyway, so with the Red Dead 2 or Red Dead 1 PC port, what would I be willing to pay for this? I think something like 30 to 40 would be fair. I guess I'm cynical and scarred, so I'm expecting them to do 60 because it's Rockstar. But I'd love to be proven wrong. If they come out at 30 or 40 when you're seeing this clip and you Google it, and they've announced the price, maybe that's where they're at. I think that $30, okay. Okay, giving it access to a whole new generation, access to this game, cool. But I don't think you can do. I don't think I'd be comfortable doing much more than that. But who am I to say what the consumer will pay? People are still buying GTA 5 in the millions every quarter, so who knows? To be fair, yeah, it is a new game. It is a new game on this platform. That's true. You're right. Oh no, are we back? I think we're back. It's trying to recover. It's trying to recover. I'll give it a second to try and stabilize while I check. Make sure nothing's randomly uploading. Nope. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Todd. I swear to God, every time we talk about Todd Howard on the stream, we have weird issues with the stream dropping. It's quite funny, but we didn't even talk about him today. Did you do something? I'm watching him. I don't trust him. Let's see. Can't get away from him. Yeah, for real. So anyway, I think I'd be comfortable. I'd be happy maybe with a like $30 price point. I think that you could argue and justify that. 40, we're getting a lot for a 14-year-old game that doesn't really have any major improvements. It's just being ported to PC. And then 60 is like, they're going to get away with it, but it's still like, come on, dude. It's 14 years old. And you didn't remake it. It's not even a remaster. It's a port. You know, it's just a port. So anyway, let's see. Let me catch up on this real quick. Thank you everybody for all those super chats and stuff. Please try Man Boobs mini game sometime. Man Boob mini games. Sent that in. Thank you. I got all the man boobs I need, but I'm always down to play a game themed around one of my greatest assets. Blake, thank you for the 2. Joker 2 became the Concord of movies. I saw a story where apparently Lady Gaga's team, her PR team, is freaking out trying to distract her because she is having mental breakdowns over the movie not being well received, which is a little funny. It's a little funny. I don't wish panic attacks or mental breakdowns on anybody, of course, but it is a little funny to think that the people that made it might have been so out of touch that they thought that was going to be really, really great, you know? Yeah. Rah, rah, oh la la. Yeah. She was surprised. This is the thing. I think a lot of these people, they are surrounded by nothing but yes men and yes women. Nobody says, I don't think this is turning out real good, Miss Gaga Goo Goo. I don't think so. Nobody's telling her that. Even the journalists who get to interview her as part of the press tour for the movie, none of them are going, so I watched the film and woof. Your thoughts? Nobody's saying that. They're all going to just glaze them and keep them happy. And the term for it is access journalism. It's basically where, it's the same thing that happens in gaming where people are like, oh, this journalist was paid off by PlayStation. They always review their PlayStation games amazingly well. And it's no, there was no check handed. There was nothing done there. There was none of that. And, people say the same thing, the people defending Shattered Space, the hardcore Bethesda fanboys and girls. There's not many of the fanboys that are still defending it. Even some of the most ardent defenders of BGS have come out and been that was not great. But the ones that still are, people are calling them paid off. People are calling them oh, how much did Bethesda pay you? They weren't paid. There was no check written. But what could be a factor is the access, the fear of losing the access, which is why it's known as access journalism, where if they are too critical, they lose access. They won't be invited to the next event. They won't be given the review code. They won't be given the preview code, whatever it may be. And I do think for some channels and groups that are smaller or more niche, that is a real fear. For me, like, I've been very hard on Bethesda and Starfield, certainly. I would like to think I've been fair. I've tried very hard to be. But even still, we still are in active contact and discussion with the PR teams that work for Microsoft and Xbox and BGS. It used to be that if you badmouth them, you'd be cut off, but I haven't had that issue. Like, we were really hard on Starfield before it came out because there were a lot of things we found out about that you guys remember we made videos on. It didn't make sense. It's like, so we have a spaceship that we can't fly on the planet's surface. So we're just going to be like loading into little zones and then like fast traveling around. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? So we made videos describing it, and we still got a review code for Starfield. It upset a lot of people that we did, but still did. But I think a lot of these companies, especially once they are acquired by bigger institutions like Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, Nintendo's the only exception where Nintendo, if you don't play their game, you're out. All the other big guys, they are pretty understanding. If you're arguing in good faith, if you are critiquing it honestly, they can't really argue with that, you know? Like, I called AC Valhalla a travesty of open world design. Ubisoft still will send me review codes for stuff. That was like one of their biggest games of all time. And I was like, yeah, I don't like it at all. And they're like, okay, well, we'll try to get you next time. Same with other Microsoft stuff where I'm like, hey, Starfield, they're really just, They still hooked us up with Hellblade 2. Didn't like Hellblade 2. They're still talking to us. If they had codes for Starfield Shattered Space, they would have sent them. So I think the myth of like getting blacklisted if you're critical is just that. It's a myth. But I think if perception's reality. If people think that they're going to get blacklisted for being hard on a company, and so they aren't hard on the company, it's still they're participating in access journalism, whether the effect would have actually been carried out or not. Yeah. Half the comments on your Veilguard preview calling you a shill. Yeah, which is, I mean, there's a lot of people that are just, they've decided 6 months ago that game is going to be a flop and is going to be bad. And so when the previews came out and were pretty much universally positive, because like shocker, when people played the game, they liked the game. And that's what we reported to you. People just could not fathom that this game they had decided was going to be terrible was actually playing pretty well. It could still end up being terrible. Maybe we just played the few slivers that were good. All we're saying is based on what we played, it was really good. But for some people, it's just, my brain cannot compute. No, it is woke. It bad. Like, they cannot fathom it. And it's like, if everybody is saying X and you're the one guy out screaming in the street corner that it's Y, maybe you should pause and be like, okay, wait. Maybe I am the outlier. Maybe. Because I'm wrong. Am I the Grinch standing on the top of Mount Crumpet screaming and hollering about Christmas when everybody else is like, no, Christmas isn't about presents? And he's like, no, but it totally is. Like, maybe you're wrong. To be fair, the Kunari do look a bit goofy. I think they always looked goofy, frankly. But like, if you're not going to play the game because you thought the Kunari looked goofy, okay. Like, with so much of this, I think the most reasonable way to approach it is to just come out and be like, you know what? Cool. You don't like the look of it? Cool. Don't buy it. Whatever. I think it looks garbage. Cool. Good for you. Sounds good. Do you wanna like a juice box or something? Where did I put it? There was some link. Maybe I don't have it. Darn it. Darn it. Yeah, I don't see it. Man. I thought I had it. I guess I don't. Bummer. Okay. This is the thing. I'll like see something and I'll bookmark it, and then I just can't find it. Because I had a picture of, there was this like massive bull that looked just like the Kunari in Dragon Age, and I was like, oh, this new update looks really bizarre, but I don't know, man. This generation doesn't know how to find the middle ground. It has to be one extreme or the other. Well, and you're seeing the infighting start, which this happens. The old saying is, you know, every time there's a revolution, eventually it devours itself, whether it's the French Revolution, the American Revolution, or it's people freaking out about, like the messaging in video games and the hiring of activist groups instead of just focusing on making a good video game. It usually starts with a valid message or a valid concern, and then there's more people that pile on to it for various reasons. Eventually it kind of grows to this behemoth that can get out of control, where the original message is lost. Like, I don't want activists making my video games, because activists are bad at making video games and they make bad video games. Like that's like at the core of all of it. And that's part of the reason I'm not too concerned with like these groups that come in and start working on stuff, because their work is so horrible. It tends to reveal itself and punish itself, which is what's particularly funny, is like they'll come in and they'll make somebody like Lawless and Suicide Squad, and it's so bad people think it's a parody. And so it flops and loses tons of money. So it kind of self-corrects to a certain extent. It's just right now, these companies, like 5-6 years ago, they hired all these companies to come in and do this consulting work for them. And over the last few years, they've finished up those games, and now they're going out and they're all flopping. And so for the next 5 to 6 years, you better believe nobody's getting a call at any of those firms, because nobody wants to juggle this hot potato, you know? It's not worth spending $500 million on a game to have it fall apart because you hired and took the advice of a firm that didn't know what they were doing. But on the flip side, like now you're seeing Ghost of Yotei. Game looks really good, but you're seeing people call for it to be like the next Target. People are screaming that that's too woke, that that's unacceptable. People were saying that Space Marine 2 was too woke and that it shouldn't be played. And people were trying to mass downvote and stuff. So eventually it's like, okay, well, now I think we're getting silly. And when you cry wolf so much, eventually people just stop taking it seriously, which is perhaps the more problematic thing for these people that actually want to make change. Is when you cry wolf so much, eventually people mentally check out. Okay. Space Marine 2, what about it was too woke? People were saying that because there were female officers on the front lines, it was woke. And then people also pointed to another thing that happened. If you don't know Warhammer, basically there's the Adeptus Custodes. It's actually what's his name? Henry Cavill. It's his faction that he plays. Boop, 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 boop. Accept cookies. Adeptus Custodes. Yay, these guys. So they're a faction. They are an army unlike any other. Each member would be considered a mighty hero by lesser warriors, capable of besting entire units or even armies of weaker foes. They're very, very strong. I mean, this will take on like 800-900 points of pretty much anything else, which is twice as many models, and they'll still slay. Like these guys are just super powerful, super specialized. But there was an update that they did like maybe 6 months ago, maybe more, where Games Workshop, they went in and changed some of the lore and said that there were female Custodes that just had never really been seen before. And they kind of gaslit the audience to be like, no, there were always girl Custodes. You just didn't know because they wear helmets and stuff. And it was like, it was It was like, is that enough for me to stop playing it? No. I think that would be kind of silly to not play the game because of something like that. The tabletop game. I don't like that they basically were gaslighting fans and being like, no, it was always like this, when like Warhammer fans are among the most like anal and attentive and obsessive over the lore of any fandom in the universe. Okay. They know if it was in the lore or not. And to pretend like they don't know or they were mistaken is just silly. It was just silly. So I didn't like that, but is that enough to make me like rage quit the entire game? No. And I think that that's just where a lot of people land. And there's a little bit of differentiation where I may not like something, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to rage quit everything. You know, like I don't have to like it. It can be, it's like the old, it's a matter of scale, right? Like I don't have to love it, but if we imagine a scale, it goes up here, and then we have the levers going down, and we have the discs, okay? If there's a lot of good over here, you know, with like Space Marine 2, you know, it looks amazing, it looks great. And or maybe the better example would be like, what was one I was looking at recently? Was it might have been Metaphor, actually. Doesn't Metaphor Refantasio, doesn't it have like a pre-order bonus? I think it does. It has like a gameplay affecting pre-order bonus. About the game. Yeah, pre-order and receive consumable in-game item sets. Utilize them on an epic adventure you're about to embark in. Archetype XP, chest set, 10 hero instances, which increase archetype experiences by 100. 5 hero fruits increases archetype experience by 500. Adventure packs, 30,000 in-game currency. 5 expensive medicines. 5 revival medicines. These are actual gameplay affecting items that you get for pre-ordering. I'm just going to say it. If Ubisoft did this, they would be burned alive. And they do kind of do this sometimes with pre-order bonuses and stuff, exclusive missions to pre-orders and all that. I know it's easy to be like, well, it's different because this is a really good game. I get it. That's kind of the point, though, is like, in this case, is that a negative? Yeah, to me, having like gameplay affecting stuff tied to a pre-order bonus, I don't like that. Because I worry, okay, well, did you balance the game according to that? I just don't like that. But that's, in the grand scheme of things, probably like this. It's like a little bitty negative in an ocean of good. And so for this is dropping, the good's gonna win, and it's still good. I don't have to like everything. I don't have to like this thing right here, but that doesn't mean that this whole thing is ruined. And I think that that's just the nuance that's been lost with a lot of video game discourse, is like, if you can find one thing you don't like, therefore the whole thing should be canceled. And I just don't think that that's true. I just don't think so. Anyway, hot tub stream when? I mean, you can't see below the desk. Maybe I'm in a hot tub right now. No, I'm not. I have filmed more videos than you probably realize without wearing pants, because I'll film the video at like 9 p.m. at night or something, and I'm like, I just took a shower. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm not putting pants on. I'll just sit right here. Yeah. Now you guys are going to go back obsessively through the catalog trying to find it out. TMI, Luke. Well, to be clear, I'm not nude under the desk. I'm just wearing boxers or whatever. Because why would I need to wear pants? It's my own damn home, you know? Yeah, I'm Donald Ducking it. Exactly. I'm a human being like you guys. Oh, wait, no, Donald Duck doesn't wear underwear. So I guess Donald Ducking would be just straight up nude under. Okay, so I'm not I'm not Donald Ducking it, to be clear. Sorry, Mike, I just tuned in. Sorry. Yeah, you are not near the hurricane, are you? No, I'm not. I'm in Colorado, so I'm in the center of the continental US. I am in the dead center, but it makes landfall this afternoon, doesn't it? Let me see. Weather Channel. And then I'll catch up on all the super chats and stuff, guys. I just want to see this. Yeah, if you're not familiar, I don't know, is this being talked about in like Europe? Are people mentioning this to the European friends we have? Is this something you guys have seen? It's a massive hurricane that's been brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. And it's about to slam into Tampa, which is like a huge, huge city. And I mean, it's just about worst case scenario. It's a super powerful storm, and it's slamming into a huge industrialized city. It's like pretty bad. UK, yeah, we know about it. It's that, yeah, it's well, and what makes it extra worse is that they just had a hurricane like last week. So it's just slamming it. One meteorologist I saw said that this is nearing the maximum capacity for what this area of the Gulf should be capable of producing. Like, it's just about a maxed out storm in terms of wind speeds, in terms of the pressures, in terms of the size, everything. Like 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. And that just means as the storm is moving in, the water level has risen because of all the water being inundated there. And so as the storm moves in, there is this massive flooding that happens. 15 feet of water. Even on the flip side, on the opposite side of the state, they're still going to have 1 to 3 feet, 3 to 5 feet, 2 to 4 feet. So if you are anywhere along the coast, there's massive flooding that's going to happen. And like it's more common for a hurricane to come in and maybe like scoop past Miami down here, or maybe it comes in and it just kind of nicks the edge of the state. But this is literally such a massive storm, it's going to blast the entire state. So hurricane in the center, all the orange is considered a tropical storm, a bad one. And it's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. So, I mean, thankfully we have the ability to like monitor these storms, and we can project that it's going to be this bad so people can prepare or get to safety and hopefully travel out and get away. But it's just pretty horrifying. Jeez, man. It's pretty horrifying. So thoughts and prayers to everybody in the Florida area. Get safe, get somewhere where you need to, where you're protected. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that, but maybe in the next few days we can do some fundraisers and stuff to raise money for some charities. If anybody knows any charities that are doing hurricane relief in that area that are good and not just sucking up all the cash for administrative stuff, let me know, and we can do some fundraisers on videos and stuff. Okay. What's really bad is forecasts and analysts showing that another hurricane forming right now is a weekish later. Stay safe, evacuate if you can't. Yeah. It's not something to mess around with. The mayor of Tampa, she went on like the news and said, if you are in a mandatory evacuation zone and you do not leave, you will die. Like, she was not messing around. She's just saying that's how it is. It's going to be extremely destructive. So thankfully we've had a week to kind of prepare, and there's so much weird political crap going on with it, where one side of the aisle is saying they're not preparing enough. The other side is saying, no, we're super prepared and it's great. Like, it's really hard to gauge what's true and whether they are properly prepared, if the national government is helping enough. But I hope that they've taken those steps, and have done what they need to do, because it's going to be pretty insane. So to all of our friends in Florida, stay safe today and tomorrow. And yeah, our thoughts are with you, my friends. Oh, man. Okay. We should shift gears, right? We should. I'm not a meteorologist. I won't pretend to be. So we should probably shift gears and talk about something that doesn't, let people get their minds off of the stresses. Maybe you're in Florida right now and you just want something to distract you from all the crazy chaos. Let's do that. Let's do that. Krish, thank you for the 20 right there. I don't remember the name of that currency, but thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you. Let's talk about the moon. Whenever I've wanted like palate cleanser before, I've gone into a deep rabbit hole talking about Scientology. I don't know why. It's just where that's how I always settle back down. But I will resist the urge today. You know what we could do? Let's see. Okay, let's do this. News segment. So it was announced that Alien Isolation 2 is going to be coming. They are in like early pre-production for it. Almost certainly because of Romulus' success, they're going to be doing it. Yeah, on the 10th anniversary, developer Creative Assembly has confirmed that a sequel is in development. Yeah, they say that they're going to come out when they're ready, blah, blah, blah. They're working on it. Still probably very far away. They're just saying, get excited. It's 10th anniversary and it's coming. Now, if you don't know, because this, again, was 10 years ago, there is sort of a controversy around Alien Isolation and IGN specifically, okay? And that controversy has to do with the review. Even now, if you look at these search results, you'll see two very conflicting stories, okay? Revisiting, the title of the video is In Defense of Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation Review Discussion. Alien Isolation's terrifying introduction to the perfect predator, art of the level. So there's all of these different videos. Why IGN's Alien Isolation review is one of gaming's biggest crimes. So what I think we should do, what did GameSpot give it? GameSpot gave it, was that a 6? Fair. They gave it a fair. So what I want to do is I want to look back at this review. And then I want to see this takedown of the review and see if there is if there's a good point to be made here, because a lot of people blame this review for basically killing off this franchise that they thought had a ton of potential. And whether or not that's true or fair is sort of a secondary question that we can also get to. But this is quite funny. Yeah, so because the AI didn't follow a predictable set path, you didn't like it. How embarrassing. Let's summarize this video. One man gets annoyed that his underdeveloped opinion had people up in arms because of the effect it had and calls in his stupid friends who have just as badly developed opinions as him so he can puff out his chest like a small child and attempt to save face. I'm not the one to shit on reviewers, but this is the worst review I've seen in my entire life. Ryan McCaffrey, I've never seen a guy look as uncomfortable as he is in this video. I'm kind of glad he felt like that. So strong reactions, right? What was this review? What was this? How did this work? Mentions he keeps getting killed whenever he hides in air ducts. That's kind of where it lives. Okay, let's see. I'm excited. Okay, let's see how bad this was. 10 years ago, my friends. 10 years ago. This is October 3rd of 2014 was when this review went up. Let's see. Dude, I remember playing this in my college house with my buddies. We turned off all the lights, brought our PCs out to the living room, plugged it into the TV.
Opening that includes nostalgic narration and busted tracking on the VCR visual effects, the first minutes of Alien Isolation are far better than any piece of last year's dreadfully disappointing Aliens Colonial Marines. But by the end of the 15 to 20 hours I spent with this mono-E xenomorph survival horror show, I wish I'd stopped after the first half dozen. Isolation impresses out of the gate because its art direction and sound design dutifully nail the vibe of Ridley Scott's original 1979 film.
Okay.
The story of Ellen Ripley's daughter Amanda looks and sounds like a real part of the Alien universe. From the DOS-based futuristic computers and their scanline CRT monitors to the fear-enhancing orchestral score, Isolation clearly did its homework in the AV department.
Maybe there'll be some closure for you.
My favorite aspect of the presentation is the atmospheric use of fog. These wisps of smoke and clouds of mist look great and aid your stealthy objectives.
Still looks really good even today. I'll give him that. It really does. It really does.
In fact, once the xenomorph starts stalking you through the dark and creepy Sevastopol space station, Isolation hits its stride. It is an absolutely stressful game to play by design. About 99% of your stalker's movements and actions are unscripted, so you genuinely never know if it's going to leave you alone for minutes at a time, crawl into the ventilation ducts in the ceiling and then immediately drop back down, or sniff around the room you're hiding in for 3 minutes, forcing you to wait it out. The slightest sound, light source, or sight of you will cause the serial murdering lifeform to charge and kill you. It's impervious to your weapons. In fact, only a few can even annoy the alien enough to force it to temporarily leave the area. And as you'll come to learn, the alien's unpredictability is both Isolation's greatest strength as well as its most crippling weakness.
Crippling weakness. Okay. So this is one of those points that comes up a lot in game reviews, which is that one man's annoyance is another man's fascination. Okay. And AI is a great part of this. Like, really good AI can feel captivating and interesting because you're like, I don't know what they're going to do next. They're so intelligent, reacting realistically to my movements and behaviors. But on the flip side, if somebody wants to just play it like an arcade video game and just blast through it, they could get super, super annoyed and go crazy, right? I think of like The Last of Us Part 2 on grounded difficulty. When you play on grounded difficulty in that game, like the characters and enemies are whistling to each other. They're calling each other's names. If they see something, then they'll call out to their friends and they'll flank together on that position. It's really, really good. It's very impressive. But if you're trying to just play through that quickly and casually, it's going to drive you up the wall. In that game, you know, of course, you can just lower the difficulty if you want less of a challenge. But in this case, like, it's the selling point of the game. That's what this game, Alien Isolation, was about, was this the idea that this huge death machine is unpredictable and will learn based on your behaviors and react realistically to what you do or don't do. It's really, really fascinating. But I have a feeling we're going to hear that really cool thing is what actively annoyed this particular reviewer.
For the first several hours, Isolation's gameplay cycle is as follows. Creep forward, hear the xenomorph, hide, wait for it to leave, and proceed again. This formula works to tense, satisfying effect. Yes, you'll die, quite a lot if you're like me, but during this honeymoon period, Isolation effectively keeps the pressure on. Manually activated wall-mounted telephones are the only way to save your progress, so reaching the next one genuinely feels like a miniature victory unto itself. And getting impaled by the alien moments before you can pick up the receiver is a dramatic defeat.
And I love this kind of thing, okay? I know, like, checkpoints are a modern, like, kind of must-have for a lot of games where they just assume, like, oh, no matter what I'm doing as I'm playing, it's saving my progress. I appreciate games that do not do that, okay? Even something like Dead Rising, where you had to go to the bathrooms to save. I liked that. I really appreciate that it creates like heightened stakes as you're running from level to level to level. I love that. I love that. But I can see why some people would be annoyed by it. But I think it's in a game like this where that tension is supposed to be there. I appreciate it.
The clomping of the alien's footsteps, the bassy whump of it skittering around in the air vents above you, its angry shrieks and hisses, having to lean back and hold your breath as it sniffs for you while you're hiding in a locker inches away from its acidic spittle, they all make Isolation very good at ensuring that you're never comfortable while trying to get the hell off the Sevastopol. A handful of timed hacking minigames you must complete while the creature can be lurking anywhere are also high points of fear. Unfortunately, the campaign mirrors the Sevastopol itself. The longer it drags on, the more it falls apart as it tumbles out of orbit and towards a gas giant. Ripley's nightmare became my own as Isolation moved its goalposts back so many damn times that I had to laugh. There's an oddly extended alien free stretch midway through that pits you against aggro androids instead of organic terrors. Though the hide-and-seek gameplay remains the same, the scares disappear without the singularly lethal force stalking you. It's disappointing that in the late game, Isolation simply spends hours making you run a funless gauntlet and contend with everything it's thrown at you so far simultaneously, rather than throw a new gameplay twist at you. Fright dissolved into frustration as I got killed from behind for the umpteenth time, even as I was crouched motionless and out of sight in an air duct.
You literally were moving. Even in this clip. He's like, I was motionless.
Even as I was crouched motionless and out of sight in an air duct. The survival horror joy found in the campaign's early hours is completely and permanently erased. Even when you finally reach the end, it's an underwhelming conclusion that doesn't adequately pay off the 20 hours you just survived. Oh, and the main menu actually recommends that you play on hard difficulty. Here's a pro tip. Don't do that. Minimize the alien's keen senses and it'll minimize your pain.
This is always a dangerous recommendation to make in a review if you're like, don't play on the recommended difficulty. Because for one, it makes it look like you don't know what you're doing. Two, if it's recommended by the devs, there's probably a reason they recommended it. And if you are struggling with it, it may be a them problem. It may also be a you problem. That he was trying to play through this like a different kind of game, and then he got frustrated when it didn't work like that.
Let's hope this thing works.
It's an animal. Animals are afraid of fire.
I hope you're right.
Alien Isolation seemed like the perfect Alien game on paper, and early on it seems to deliver on its promise by faithfully recreating the ambiance of the classic horror film. But it can't sustain that momentum for even half of its campaign, and it turns out to be a hugely disappointing and frustrating slog. It may seem strange to complain that a game's too long, but when the genuine scares of being hunted by an unstoppable predator are so diluted by repetition and padding, Isolation's epic length really does work against it.
So, here's one point where I'll defend Mr. Ryan McCaffrey. I think that's who reviewed this, right? I think it should say somewhere. Yeah, Ryan McCaffrey. Here's a point where I'll defend Ryan on this. When you are doing a review for a game like this, no one you know is playing it. There is nothing you can Google about it. There is no information. There's no Let's Plays. There's nothing. Okay. You are playing it in a vacuum. And so when you're going through levels and like he was in that, we laughed at it because he's like, I'm in an air vent and I'm not moving and it still saw me. It's like, yeah, well, it's because you were peeking through the vents. That's by design, because if you were in a situation like this and there's an alien that's walking around with heightened senses and it hears you shifting in the locker trying to peek out through vents, it's going to see you and get you. But if that wasn't communicated to him that, no, that's not a bug, that is a feature. That is it working correctly. That is it seeing you peek through the vents and hearing you move. Even in that little way with the right stick or just peeking through it. That's it working correctly. If he didn't know that, it could feel like a bug. So there is a certain element to this where I do think like maybe some of these cool AI behaviors he mistook as malfunctions when it's actually the game working exactly as it was designed. But then you get to the other stuff where he's frustrated with like how later levels challenge you with all of the different mechanics at once, how the weapons don't do anything to the xenomorphs. And I'm like, at some point, I'm starting to think that you just don't like these types of games, that you don't like these suspense, thriller, horror type games, because that's just kind of how they work. Like, it only is scary if you can't really fight back. That's the whole point. That's why Outlast worked so well back in the day as a horror game, because all you had was a video camera to see in the dark, and that's it. So there was no fighting back, and that made you weaker and then made the stakes much higher. Whereas if you had a massive machine gun or shotgun or something, it wouldn't feel as threatening because you could fight your way out of it. So this is why reviewers' selection, I think, is really crucial, because the danger, kind of the problem, I think, with a lot of the stuff that IGN gets themselves caught in is that they are viewed as a monolith. You know, IGN is this massive thing. It's IGN. But in reality, their reviews are done by a bunch of individuals. You know, they're done by here. Maybe there's some reviewers that they have that have more weight, like Ryan McCaffrey, I think, is one of their chief editors or lead reviewers, whatever his title is. He's one of the big guys. So maybe there's some bigger reviewers in there, but it's a bunch of individuals. And then their opinions form sort of the matrix that is IGN. And you know, it's really easy to be like, well, no, it's IGN reviewed it as this, when in reality, it's this one guy that works for IGN reviewed it this way. But it gets lumped into IGN as a whole. That's what IGN, the institution, thinks of a game. And that's why the selection of the reviewer can be really, really crucial. Because if you select the wrong person to review it, you're going to have a useless opinion at the end of it. Like, if you have somebody that, and we all know these types of people, if you have somebody that hates From Software style games, Soulsborne games, they're terrible at them, and you assign them to review the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, do you think that their perspective on it will be particularly valuable to fans of this type of game? Obviously no. Obviously no. And it shouldn't, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just because they don't play those kinds of games. I have a buddy who is obsessed with Nintendo, is amazing at Smash Bros, at the Mario platformers, at Mario Kart, like, plays everything on the Switch. That is his platform of choice, and he's very, very good at all of it. But if I asked him to play like Red Dead Redemption 2, he'd find it boring as hell, and he would complain about it constantly and be like, I don't know, man, it's just so slow compared, like, where are the mushrooms? You know, he'd be losing his mind. And that doesn't mean that his opinions on the games he plays are invalid or are valueless or useless. It just means that that's not his realm. I'm not going to go to a guy that is a mechanic and ask him to cook me a filet mignon and then complain when the steak isn't very good. Like, it's different specialties. They focus on different things. And I think often IGN will have, maybe not often, but there are times where IGN has had these reviews where I think they just frankly had the wrong people reviewing it. And they end up complaining in their review that the game wasn't like this thing they wanted it to be, when it was never going to be that way. It's like, yeah, it wasn't supposed to be like a first-person shooter with, like, you know, weapons that can target the xenomorph. Like, it's supposed to be this suspense thriller horror game that is extremely stressful and pushes you to the limit, and where the stakes are super, super high. One screw up and you're dead. You didn't listen carefully enough in the room. You didn't hear it clanging around in the vents. You died. That's the kind of game that this is. But a lot of these complaints are specifically over it being that way. And so you're complaining. Can you believe in Red Dead Redemption 2? I have to ride my horse to get places. Like, give me a car, am I right? You'd be like, no, that's part of the whole thing. Like, yes, it's horses. What are you talking about? Yeah, it would drive you crazy. But that's kind of where these critiques can land if somebody is expecting the wrong thing and they just don't connect with it, but then they complain about it not being that way. I've had games like this, like back in the day, 2019, I think it was, or maybe 2020, whenever Ghost of Tsushima came out. And I was like, honestly, it's just not clicking for me. I just cannot get into the game. I just find it frustrating to play. And so I didn't make a video complaining about it because I was like, people obviously love it. I just cannot get into it. So instead of me complaining and making a video trying to find things to pick apart, I'm just not going to cover it because I'm not able to get into it. It's just not clicking with me. And then it came out on PS5 and I tried again and I loved it. And it was amazing. I was like, I get it now. I don't know why the 60 frames made the difference for me, but it really did. And all of a sudden I fell in love with that game. I was like, okay, I get it now. Now I feel like I can talk about it because it clicked. It made sense to me. If something makes sense to me and it's bad, that's one thing. Like, I think Forspoken as a game makes sense to me, what they were trying to do. I just think it's bad. Suicide Squad makes sense to me. I just think it's really bad. Same with Concord. Makes sense. It's just bad. But if something's not clicking with me, if I don't get it, I'm not going to make like a bunch of content complaining about it because it just doesn't follow. It's like, you just don't get it. And that's okay. Not every game is for everybody. Let's hear the defense of this. So this is one thing that IGN, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to do it where they would do these like literally a round table interviews with the staff, usually the reviewer, and then other reviewers from IGN and maybe one of their journalist compatriots, and they would talk about the review and ask questions and poke and prod. And it's always very interesting. You know, there was, what game was it? Evolve was one of these where I think they gave it like a 10 or something. IGN Review Discussion. I think this is it.
Vince Ingenito here. I'm the guy that got to review Evolve for IGN, and I'm sitting here with my friends Mitch,
me,
James,
hello,
and Alex.
Hi.
And now we're gonna jump into some of the finer points of what we think makes Evolve so wonderful. But before that, let's take a
Bear in mind, Evolve is completely dead and abandoned, and it was it's kind of a mess. But like, there's that. There's also, I think Deathloop was another one where they got some pressure for how they reviewed it because there's like, it's a 10 out of 10, but there's like tons of problems. But anyway, let's hear how they describe it. I find this always fascinating, and I do like this in concept. Okay, I love the idea of a reviewer, especially for a big group like this, being willing to come on camera and kind of justify and defend the score against people who either haven't played the game or maybe have played it and have different opinions. I think that would be most valuable. Where like, if I did a Starfield review and I was like, hey, yeah, I just found it kind of lackluster. And then we have somebody that played it and really liked it come on and ask questions and poke and prod and be like, well, what did you think about this? What did you think about that? I think that can be really valuable. But let's hear what he says to defend his review.
Alien Isolation Review Discussion panel. Let's roll the verdict portion of my very recent review.
Alien Isolation seemed like the perfect Alien game on paper, and early on it seems to deliver on its promise by faithfully recreating the ambiance of the classic horror film. But it can't sustain that momentum for even half of its campaign, and it turns out to be a hugely disappointing and frustrating slog. It may seem strange to complain that a game's too long, but when the genuine scares of being hunted by an unstoppable predator are so diluted by repetition and padding, Isolation's epic length really does work against it. Someday, someone is going to make an incredible Alien video game that checks every box. But sadly, Isolation is not in.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a divisive review. few of the major outlets have been also a bit disappointed in the game, had some criticisms, not just me. And then a number of other outlets loved it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see where, get some other opinions here, see where you guys fall. I'm going to start with Brian Altano. Brian, you've been, I think all of us were really looking forward to this game, and it really seemed like the chosen one. This was going to be the one that returned the Alien video game brand to restored its prestige. Obviously, I didn't feel that way. I'm kind of curious where you're at in the game and how you're feeling so far.
So yeah, I've played like the first 4 or 5 hours, and some chunks I've actually played twice because of preview events, and that's kind of important to state that when we do go play a game, we're given just a piece of it.
Yeah.
We play it for a little while, and we go home, we go, man, that was great. And reading your review, it seemed like there was you obviously went in really...
Couldn't have taken that cough out in post, man. Like, they're all on different mics. You could have just muted his mic while he's coughing. There's occasionally some things where it's like, guys, come on. Like, you got $1 million set here. What are we doing?
Man, that was great. And reading your review, it seemed like there was you obviously went in really wanting to love this.
Absolutely.
And there was a lot that you did really like, but it just kept doing those things over and over again and kept going and going. So I think it's like, it's sort of like when someone is watching a movie and they pause it and they go on Facebook and they go, man, this movie's awesome. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should go back and finish the movie. And then they do, and then they come back and they're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said anything.
I liken it a lot to Dan Stapleton, our reviews editor. You and I were talking about how, I run previews for IGN, you run reviews. And, previews are like the trailers for movies. They're like the previews, where the perfect example is I am now so done with I'm not going to get hyped up for superhero movies anymore, because Man of Steel, Dark Knight Rises, Iron Man 3, all great trailers. And I'm like, man, those movies look amazing. And then just for me, when I went to see those films, each of those 3 films really disappointed me in some way. And it's just because you're seeing a little awesome slice, a carefully curated slice.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're being deceptive, but they're showing a part that shows well. And
I mean, hype makes you stupid for once. We all agree with that. But I think what they're answering, or what they're talking about right here, is a very interesting little tidbit that I hear all the time, okay? Specifically, like, people will say, well, you did a preview of this game, and you said it looked really good or had a ton of potential. And now your review, you say it's bad. What gives? And that is a ridiculous thing to complain about, because obviously when you're playing a vertical slice, a little sliver that the publisher or developers have specifically chosen to make their game look as good as possible, it probably is going to feel better than worse. And you can play a slice of a game and it can feel really good and play really, really well, but then you get the whole game and you're like, oh, yeah, not great. Like, if I had played the first hour or 2 of Starfield as a preview event, I would have walked away being like, okay, I think BGS has actually done it. I think they've actually pulled this off. This is amazing. It was when I played it for more than 20 hours that it started to fall apart, and you start to see the same locations over and over again. And so it's the broader context that informs the full and final opinion. It's not just the preview, but there are people that will just complain because the preview you said looked really good, but then this final product you have problems with. It's like, I mean, you kind of would hope that your opinion could evolve and change as you saw more of the game, and it wasn't just an affirmation of whatever. To a certain extent, I guess you could also give a little bit of defense. We've made fun of some individuals for hyping up Redfall. There were some Xbox channels that got to go to a preview event for Redfall before it launched, and a lot of them said it looked amazing. It looked like this, the team that did Prey, they're back, they're working hard, they're doing some amazing stuff. I think one person said that it was potentially the next big Xbox franchise, which is pretty hilarious in retrospect. But in their defense, they were shown vertical slices that were very carefully chosen to make it look really, really, really good. And then when they got the whole thing, they're like, okay, well, this is going to be harder to defend. Oh, geez. So I do think that there is perhaps a little bit of defense to be thrown out there. But I think I think with all of these, Rango, cookie dough can taste good, but the cookies can be nasty. Yeah, I think that perhaps that's a good comparison. Or like recently I got sushi and I got it's like a shaggy roll or whatever, and it's got the crab meat and then this delicious like spicy mayo on. It's very good, very good. First bite, best bite of any sushi you've had in your life. You get 3 slices, 3 little pieces in, and you feel like your stomach is participating in an Irish bar fight. Like, it is explosive. The first bite was amazing. Everything else, you're fighting for your damn life. Is it worth it? Maybe. Still, yeah. You know what? Yeah, it was. It was still delicious. I will order it again. But the point is, just because a little taste is amazing, that does not mean that the whole thing will be amazing as well. So I do want to defend them on this point. I do think that that's a fair point. If people are like, your previews were positive, why is your review now negative? That's a stupid thing to throw out. Like, previews are designed to be better and to play well and to make you excited. So yeah.
Anyway. After 20 hours of Alien, I didn't, in the big picture as taken as a whole, it didn't do that for me.
The whole 20 hours was not as strong as the little tidbits that were shown.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense.
Isn't it funny hearing these voices and seeing the faces with them? Because you've probably heard most of these voices in reviews, even in the last decade. Most of these guys are still here. I'm not familiar with the gentleman on the far right, but I'm pretty sure he's still there. I know Ryan is. Ryan was actually at Summer Game Fest when I was there this summer. Dan, I don't know if he was there, but I know Dan still does tons of their reviews. I forgot his name, but I think he still works there too. So these guys are OGs. They've been around forever. Again, this video is 10 years old.
The whole 20 hours was not as strong as the little tidbits that were shown.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense. Like, if you're a developer and you're working on a game that's 20 hours long, and you have an hour to show it to people to get them excited about it,
absolutely.
you show the parts that aren't the most exciting parts, and maybe you leave out the parts that aren't as proud of. And every game has its highs and lows. So that's why previews are often a lot more positive than the review. Once you play the whole thing, you're also faced with playing the entire game all the way through. You have to take the bad with the good. And
this is why, even with like Dragon Age, I've told you all my impressions of Dragon Age, the Veilguard, were very, very positive. I really liked what I played, but that was a preview. We played about 7 hours. If you skipped lunch, you got to 7 hours. Like, I ate lunch at my computer while playing. I'm not sure if I was supposed to do that, but they didn't stop me. But otherwise, if you ate lunch and took the lunch break, you could play for 6. But anyway, we played a lot of it, and my impressions were very positive. But just like this, there's a potential that maybe we get the final game and it's actually got a lot of problems, and it's like, oh, didn't see this at the preview. So you never know. But typically, like, if a game has a bad preview, the game's probably really bad, because if the best they had to show was bad, the worst they have to show is probably way worse. Way worse. So I think, good previews are necessary for a good game. I can't think of a time where there was a game that had really bad previews that ended up being amazing. Maybe somebody knows.
case.
Subluality, the food was actually pretty good. They had bagels. They had really good bagels too.
I'm actually very early in there, so I haven't gotten to the Alien yet.
Oh,
but
that's pretty early.
But I am like in the early paragraphs of your review. It's like this is a very well recreated version of Alien.
Makes a great first impression, doesn't it?
The atmosphere is spectacular. I'm not so high on a few of the unintuitive parts. Like, I don't think it's doing a great job of teaching me its puzzle elements, but I'm sure it's going to get a lot better as soon as the alien shows up and starts terrorizing me. Jose, though, I know has played more than us two combined.
Yeah.
You're what, 10 hours in?
I'm 10 or 11 hours in. And
so you're a little past halfway, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And I will say my opinions of it are all over the place right now, where there are things I really admire about the game in terms of I do like the unpredictable AI in the alien, and in having a stalker. I played plenty of stealth games in like my career as a gamer, and I feel like they always, some try to play the cat and mouse angle, but in the end, you're not a mouse. You're actually a cat. You actually end up a cat at some point, right? You get claws and you're able to fight back.
Splinter Cell, perfect example.
Yeah, Metal Gear, or like there's a lot of games that fall under that. In this one, you are very much the mouse. Like the minute the alien sees you, you are dead and you are done. And when it comes to that, the game does that really well, I feel, like in terms of what you guys said, right? Like walking around this 1970s vision of the future absolutely captures that really well. The spirit of how the Alien films sort of feel captures that really well. But when they take the alien away and they pull out another enemy sort of type, the androids essentially, they kind of focus on that part. I feel like the game really starts to fall apart there. And that's where I really just started feeling like conflicted about it because, you know, there is sort of a puzzle element to the androids. There's not one good solution. You can't just run up and melee them. They're stronger than you. There's also the aspect that this game never really makes you feel comfortable with a weapon. Think about it. You play stealth games. You get a freebie, right? You walk up, sneak up behind someone. You know, you get to kiss the ogre or something, right? From Shadow of Mordor. This game never does anything like that. They want you to feel kind of conscious and sort of afraid of actually interacting with things.
When did Outlast come out? What are some other horror games from this period that very intentionally left you unable to fight back? Outlast game. I think that was like it's 2013. Oh geez, I feel old. It was 2013. Really? Wow. Yeah, if you've never played Outlast, it's the spooky season. It's only $20. Very good, and it is this done miraculously well. Not for the faint of heart though. And good God Almighty, if you're gonna play the DLC Whistleblower, do not play that if you are squeamish. It is like a lot. There's a lot there. But like these types of horror games were around during this time, and I find it so bizarre that they're complaining that like the enemies and monsters or androids are like more powerful than them. It's like, yeah, kind of the point. Kind of point. Amnesia was the first. Okay, yeah. So there were other ones around this time. I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out like the exact complaints. Did you eat them all? When I got there was only bad food left. I think I had 2 bagels. I might have been part of the problem. I'm very sorry. I might have been part of it. I thought the food was great. The part that I had, what was it? I think it was like I think it was like a barbecue, like pulled pork brisket thing. And for me, like, I spent a lot of my life in Texas. I love me some pulled pork. Like probably once every 2 weeks, I use my smoker and I smoke a couple pork butts. Like I go hard for pork and for barbecue. Okay. I love me some barbecue. So for me, it was like a meal made in heaven. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. But I guess if you don't, there were some people there that were like vegan or vegetarian, and they, I think, had to eat like, I don't know, salad, basically rabbit food. I feel bad. For them. You're missing out. You just need a cheat day where you can have barbecue. That's the key.
But it comes at the expense of when they toss in other enemies, you don't feel like you really can handle what they are throwing at you. And then they also get really ridiculously hard with the android especially.
And you're playing on normal difficulty, right?
I am playing on normal difficulty.
You took my advice, I see.
I did, yeah. I wasn't going to try and do it on hard, even though the game recommended it. And for the most part, I feel like one of the things I admire is that this game also is a lot about sort of capitalizing on opportunities, like seizing opportunity. Like, oh my God, the alien's gone. Sneak down this hallway under this next desk. Okay, where is it now? And then start looking around. But that said, I still feel like there's huge pacing issues where I feel like they don't know how to balance when the alien should be around and when it shouldn't be. And then when they replace it with something else.
They don't know how to balance. Bro, the whole point is that they don't balance it. It's a dynamic, like, that's the point. You know, like, that doesn't mean that it's good, to be fair, okay? Because there's lots of bad game design choices that have been made, and it's like, well, that's the point. Like, that's the design. They did it that way intentionally. That doesn't mean it's good, right? Like, there were complaints. I'm going to use the example again. There were complaints with, like, Deathloop, where people said, no, the bad AI where they don't see you is by design because it has to do with the time loop mechanic, and then the like, I forget the exact excuse, but there was somebody that went through and like outlined why in the lore it could be explained why they were not as attentive as they should have been. I was like, okay, cool. It's still bad. Like, just because there's an excuse for it doesn't mean that it's magically good all of a sudden. You know, I can explain something away narratively. That doesn't mean that it's good. In Death Stranding, I don't like that there's like no wildlife. There's nothing else in the world as you're exploring it to make it feel like it's worth saving. I understand you can be like, well, the timefall would kill the animals. Okay, well, first of all, why are animals in the opening cinematic flying away from the timefall? Why don't they come out when the timefall goes away? Why aren't there deer and birds and rabbits hopping around? Like, there should be, because we see them in the opening cinematic, but then they're just gone. So, like, there's things like that. But just because you can narratively justify why a choice was made does not mean that the choice was necessarily good. Having said that, though, with this, the whole gameplay mechanic of the alien that has an AI that's not controlled, that is totally freeform, that is part of the point. Like, that's part of what we're doing here.
It's not really a good substitute.
Mm-hmm. And I've watched both of you guys go through this kind of up and down sensation with this game, where it's like, oh, this is really good stealth, and then, oh, I'm getting to this really frustrating part.
Yeah.
And it seems like you can almost recommend this game if you're only planning to play like the first 6 hours.
I tweeted that exact thing, actually.
I'm almost done.
Yeah. I mean, it's for the first 5 or 6 hours till well, there's sort of somewhat of a climactic point that you've already passed.
Yeah.
You know, if you stop at that climactic point and treat that as the end of the game, you'll walk away pretty happy.
Yeah.
I mean, a big part of my criticism with this game, which I think just a lot of people haven't really been able to understand yet, just because they haven't played all the way through the game or even necessarily played the game at all, is that it just the goalposts get moved back so many times. It's okay, we're gonna get off the ship now. All right, we're heading for the home stretch, and whoop, there's the rug. We just yanked it out from under you. No, we're not, and it just put it.
I mean, I think that frustration is also part of the genre. Again, like the thing with all of this is you're okay in not liking that. That's okay. But I think that that's what this game was always going to be, and I think that that's this genre in general. It's like, can you believe I was playing Outlast and then I reached this point where I was going to climb out the window and it wouldn't let me. And then I thought maybe if I did this, I could have escaped, but I didn't do that. I went back to save my friend or whatever. And it's like, yeah, well, that's just kind of what we're doing. You don't have to love it. You don't have to play this game. Maybe it's just not for you, and that's okay. Maybe this is more niche and it's not trying to appeal to as broad of an audience as it could have, but again, like it's just kind of part of the point.
You know, it's fine if that happens a couple times. Like, all right, I got to do one more thing. But it goes on and on for hours. Even right up until the end, there's one more. No. There's one more of those at the very end. It's just like, come on, I'm ready to leave now.
And I think this is like, it's sort of, we've learned in the genre, and filmmakers have learned in the genre, decades ago, that horror is not really something that sustains itself for 2-3 hours. Like, there are no like 4-hour horror movies, like the way you would see like a director's cut of Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Oh, here's Peter Jackson's 4-hour horror movie. It's too much because, after 2 hours, it's not a horror movie anymore. It's a hostage situation.
Yes.
Like you're still there, and it's like for 20 hours, that's a day of your life is spent playing cat and mouse with this alien. And I have some problems with that because I love difficult games. I love games where I die a lot. Like
the original Ninja Gaiden, well, the original Xbox version of Ninja Gaiden is one of my favorite games of the last 15 years.
And there's something about that game and about games like Super Meat Boy and stuff like that where they're hard, but they're challenging and they're also rewarding in the sense that you feel like you are you're overcome.
I'm sorry. This is everybody right now as they're explaining this. Okay, just watch this face. This is everybody, what everybody's feeling.
The sense that you feel like you are over, you're
just. I'm a menace. I'm sorry.
Overcoming obstacles in set patterns and figuring them out. And I feel like Alien has some of that, but it also has that random element of just like, now in Super Meat Boy, if I go from here to here.
I'm sorry, comparing this game to Super Meat Boy is just insane. Like, I get what he's trying to say, which is the difficulty feels rewarding, and therefore difficult games can be fun if they're rewarding. But they're just so different. I just don't think it's even in the same universe, you know? Like, I don't understand that comparison beyond the most like bare bones. It's a hard game. Yeah, but this is a hard game that's designed to be like exhausting. And I agree with the sentiment that like exhausting games are not necessarily always fun. I think this is one of those games that isn't probably fun in a traditional sense. Like, it's exhausting to play. But there's a lot of games I think worth playing that are exhausting and are not fun. Like, I don't know if I'd even say that like The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2 are fun games. I think that they're worth playing, but I wouldn't probably call them fun. In the same way, like, what's another one? I'm trying to think of another one that's been... I mean, even Silent Hill 2, the remake, I'm not sure if I would consider it fun. Like, I'm not feeling like giggly or joyous while I'm playing through it. It's satisfying, it can be rewarding, but I'm not sure if it's fun. You know, I think it's a different thing, and that's okay. Video games are one of these genres, or one of these things that can span genres and can span emotional payoffs, where sometimes it's worth playing because it's like emotionally intense. Like, there was that sort of 2D sprite looking game. Was it To the Moon? About the old guy who's dying and is like reliving memories of his past. That game, very emotionally intense. I wouldn't call it fun, but it's something you should absolutely play, you know? And so I just think games don't have to be fun. And that's okay. That's part of the magic of video games, that they don't have to be fun. But complaining that a game isn't fun is like I don't think that's necessarily dismissive.
I memorize all the platforms and all the traps, and I get through and I know what to do.
Sure.
When I play Splinter Cell, I know that the walking patterns of a guard is going to go a specific way, and I know how I'm going to take him out to get me to the next place,
Okay, I can see why people freaked out at this point in the comments section. We'll look through some of those. Because he's complaining about the literal like defining gameplay feature of this game, which is that the AI for the xenomorph is not clearly defined.
I memorize all the platforms and all the traps, and I get through and I know what to do. I don't feel like Alien has some of that, but it also has that random element of just like, now in Super Meat Boy, if I go from here to here, I memorize all the platforms and all the traps, and I get through and I know what to do.
Sure.
When I play Splinter Cell, I know that the walking patterns of a guard is going to go a specific way, and I know how I'm going to take him out to get me to the next place. In Alien, I do all of those things, and then suddenly a tail pops from the ceiling.
So I will say that.
Yes. That's the point. Like, exactly, Loyalty. Isn't that the point of the game? And maybe we can't rewind the clocks, okay? So I don't know what the marketing was like in the lead up to this game in October of 2014, okay? I don't know what they were saying about this at preview events in the summer of 2014. I don't know. It's there we go. Reconnection successful. Todd strikes again. Oh, well. I think we're back. We're back. Okay. Man, I don't know what it is today. It's just the stream's not liking it. They are doing infrastructure like work relatively close to my neighborhood. They're trying to install fiber. I hope that's what's happening. But anyway, we're back. Okay. But yeah, so what I was saying is I don't know what the marketing was like in 2014. I don't know if expectations were just honestly that off. Because it seems to me like pretty clear this is the defining feature of the game, is that the AI doesn't work the way a traditional AI would work. And that's why people were really excited about it, because it was going to be different. But it seems like they're complaining that the AI does not work the way that a traditional game's AI works. And it's like, that's the whole selling point, you know, and you're complaining about it. It's a weird choice.
Sorry, that's something that you said in your review, is that the unpredictability of the alien is both a strength and a weakness.
It's a plus and a minus.
Which is you know, you're a big fan of the old Thief games, I know.
Huge.
And like those games are classic stealth, hardcore stealth. And the reason they work is because they're predictable. Like the guards are predictable. You know, if I do this, they're going to react in this way.
I think this is interesting. There is an interesting debate to be had with whether a fully dynamic like AI system can be gamified. Because to a certain extent, like, video games are not realistic by design. There are certain rules and things that you follow through on that make them fun or engaging or rewarding. And it's like in The Witcher 3. Geralt is a witcher, okay? He can slay any peasant he wants without any issue, okay? The skill diff is wide, right? But if Geralt is a level or two under-leveled when he goes to Skellige for the first time, a single bandit can one-shot him. Now, does that make sense? No. Is that realistic? No. But it's because it's a video game and they have to scale it according to that based on their leveling system and to keep it engaging when you run into a bandit in that area as you play through the game. It's just one of those things where it's a video game. It's not realistic, but it's a video game. I remember complaining about it in my original like critique in 2017. And now looking back, I'm like, well, it's just one of those things that has to happen, you know, to make the video game make sense. And so just because it's not realistic doesn't mean it's bad. And if it were realistic and Geralt was able to slay any humanoid basically that he wanted without much difficulty, unless they were a witcher or some super highly trained knight or something, that would make the gameplay of a game like The Witcher 3 much less interesting, because there would be no encounters out in the world against any humanoids that would have any stakes whatsoever. So it's one of those kind of necessary evils. With this, I think in a similar vein, the question they're debating is whether a realistic AI that doesn't behave in those predictable ways can be used in a video game and still be fun. I think quite clearly, looking back through hindsight, we can see that you pretty clearly can. This game is a cult classic for a reason, and in large part that's because people found it so captivating that you could play through these levels and they will always be different because the alien doesn't think in the same linear way as typical AI systems do, where they go on this set path and route. They actually change their behaviors as they go through levels and change based on your behaviors. I love that kind of thing. There was another game that kind of did this, where it learned, the AI enemy like learned from your behaviors and would do things differently. So, I mean, even to a certain extent in Batman Arkham City, Mr. Freeze, you remember he like learns from how you were fighting him. So if you tried to do that boss fight just popping up from grates, he would spray the grates with ice so that it wouldn't, like, you couldn't climb in there anymore. And then it would be like, oh, you're jumping down from the gargoyles. Okay, he's going to blow them up. You mean Mrs. Freeze? Yeah, I guess now. So that, like, there's all sorts of interesting things like that. You're right. They did it in like in Shadow of War or even Shadow of Mordor, where if you fought one of the orcs and killed him, and then they come back and were like resurrected, and whatever the term was in the game for that. But he comes back and he's learned from how he died, and he's like now invulnerable to stealth finishers. It's brilliant. Plenty of games have done this non-linear thing, or where they learn from how you play to counter you. I love that. I think it's fascinating. And I think it's a huge strength of a game like this. And to hear them complaining about that strength is just kind of bizarre.
If you take that away, though, it becomes a little bit of a crapshoot, right? It's like you don't
trial and error.
Yeah, well, you don't know. You can do the same thing twice, and you'll succeed once and fail the other time because it's luck. Whether the alien
is it luck? That's the problem. If it were just luck and it was just a dice roll, yeah, that would feel bad. Like I did everything right, and this time I just happened to lose. Sure, in a stealth game with high stakes, that could feel bad. But I think the point is it's not just luck.
You do the same thing twice, and you'll succeed once and fail the other time because it's luck whether the alien will react in the way you anticipated. So, and that does add to tension. It makes it very scary.
Sure, it does, yeah.
But it's also supremely frustrating if you can't predict how
particularly when the save points are all. I'm not advocating that this game should have had checkpoint saves, but I like that you are sort of battling from one save point to the next. But when I genuinely had times where there's actually one time where I was at the save terminal and whoosh, dead. And then I had to back up about 30 minutes.
So do you think they played this without sound? I'm starting to wonder if he was like playing this without headphones on. Because like there are sound cues. You could hear it running. Was he just sprinting to try and get there faster to save before it got him? I'm starting to wonder with a lot of this, because it sounds like there's just such fundamental misunderstandings of core gameplay systems. They all have these similar misconceptions or frustrations, at least the people on this couch, which is what's so fascinating. Like they're complaining that the behavior of the AI is unpredictable. It's like, yes, like that's why so many people love it. I play this game 100% crouch. Being near the ground grounded me. Yeah. You got to be in tune with the earth, with the space station itself. It is just weird. Like if you've played the game, you're like, but like you're complaining about one of the coolest things, it's just kind of wild to me, it's the same thing. Like if people complained that they were playing The Last of Us Part 2 or The Last of Us on a hard difficulty where like ammo is really scarce or crafting materials are really scarce. The reason they do that is because they want you to be very intentional and careful with when you use weapons, when you do this, when you do that, where to deploy this smoke bomb versus this one. Like they want you to be very intentional with it, and that's by design. But to play it on hard and then complain that there's not enough ammo for you to just go through shooting everybody just demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of what that difficulty level was trying to do and what the developers were trying to do with that level and how you handle the game. And, it's always kind of cringe when people are like, you're playing the game wrong. But I do think there are ways to play games in a manner where you will not have fun. Like I do. I think that there are plenty of ways to do that. I still think it's probably on the developers to teach players the right way to go about it, or to better communicate to players what they should expect. And maybe that's something where, to their credit, maybe in the lead up and marketing campaign through 2014, they were not clear on how this would work. And so maybe that's why there's some misunderstanding, because pretty clearly there is a misunderstanding between the developers, the game, and these reviewers, where some reviewers at certain outlets got it and understood what was being done and ate it up, and then others just didn't understand and were just frustrated that it wasn't working the way they thought it would. And I just find that fascinating. It's the same thing that happened with Deathloop, where for some people, some reviewers ate it up and were like, I get what they're doing. And then for others, like, no, it's really shallow and uninteresting. I don't know if there's a right answer to either one of these, because to a certain extent, like, well, if that's what you thought of the game, that's your perspective. Cool. Maybe it wasn't for you, but I do always find it so fascinating when games are reviewed by the industry and then there's a totally polarized opinion of the game. I find it so interesting. Luality, I have a take that for horror games, you should never play them in too hard modes or simply not horror anymore. Hold on, I scrolled past, I can't read it. You should never play them in too hard modes, or it is simply not horror anymore. You become used to the danger and monster and you have an action game. A horror game is best when you almost die, but never actually die. Staying in the edge is horrifying. Yeah, I do think if you can rely on just resets, just load and try it again, I do think it loses some of the potency. One of my problems with like Outlast 2, I really liked the first game. Outlast 2, though, I think it largely turns into a sprinting simulator where you just sprint around the level trying to hit the checkpoint to move on to the next level. And yeah, if you play it the way they probably intended you to, where you stealthily are creeping through the cornfields and hiding in the barrel and all that, it's not that big of a deal. Or rather, it's much more suspenseful. It's much scarier playing that way. But if you can sprint through the whole thing, like why wouldn't you? If you give players a tool to shortcut something, they'll use it. It's just what gamers do, and that's by design. I mean, that's just how gamers play games. But I think it would be on the developers over at Red Barrel for for Outlast 2, where I feel like they didn't do a good job of punishing the people that just sprint right by stuff, because it just kind of broke all the stealth systems if you just sprinted past them, because the grab animations were usually slower than you could just sprint past them and get to the checkpoint. So yeah, anyway, it's a separate issue.
I will say this though, in your example with harder games, I will say that the difference between Alien and those games though is that Alien is exhausting to play because of the amount of stress that you feel.
Right,
and the duress
it's intentionally
that you feel
stressful
as a player. And yeah, and I feel that the limitations and the way it's presented, that's a factor that I think should have been considered in its length, because I feel like part of overstaying that welcome is probably compounded in a game when progress doesn't really happen at the same interval of time, because it really depends on where's the alien right now. Is the alien in play? Is he around the corner? And they're even weird as far as like the phones and the save system go, where at certain points early on in the game, especially when the alien's around, I feel like I'd only see 1 or 2 phones maybe. And I'm at a point in the game where I'm running into phones every couple of minutes. And I'm like, okay, it just felt really odd to me, because I felt like, if anything, they should have leaned on phones in the earlier part. But I'm not entirely sure why that ended up that way. And
I mean, again, I think it's... If you just disagree with the artistic direction or the gameplay direction, that's, again, totally fine. But I think that the scarcity of phones was specifically to make it feel this way, to make it feel so crazy. Yeah. It's very interesting. I think there is something to be said for longer games that are stressful and emotionally exhausting. Like, I think, to bring it up again, The Last of Us Part 2, emotionally exhausting. Not as stressful. Alien Isolation is stressful, where there's just never a break, you know, whereas The Last of Us has flashbacks and stuff to give you breathers and some breaks. But it's emotionally exhausting, and I think that hurt The Last of Us Part 2. I think that game was too long for what it is. By the time it's over, you're like, oh, thank God. And with Alien Isolation, there's a similar feeling where you're like, oh, thank God, I'm finally safe. I got off I'm good, right? I'm finally there. Safe is maybe not the right word, but you know, you get what I mean. It's over. So maybe there is something there where it could connect better with people if it was shorter and it wasn't so intense for so long, because I do think a lot of people probably did boot this up and put it down for a month or two and then come back to it later, if they ever did. I do think that probably happened with plenty of people, but yeah, it's probably a separate issue, separate topic.
I will say though that I find the alien is the most fascinating part of that game, because I honestly do like everything that it's throwing at me, its unpredictability and sort of the wild stories that come from that. Like, I had...
Okay. Okay, hold on. Hair decreases left to right. Who said that? Where is it? Hold on. I just saw it. I don't know where the message is. Did I lose it? Did somebody delete the message? Was it Jamie? It was Jamie. Yeah, hair decreases left to right. Yeah, it kind of is the different stages. And then you know, you get the Rogaine and it comes back. See, that's great. Now that you pointed that out, I can't. Come on.
I had an instance where there were humans, and I threw out a noisemaker because I'm like, oh, I'll just stick the alien on them. This will be fine. It took out all the humans, and then that became my problem. Now the alien is in play. He's on the floor looking for me, and it's a tight corridor. Eventually, it saw me through the...
Yeah, again, that's the point, dude. Like, they're complaining about one of the coolest little reversals. Listen to this again.
And I threw out a noisemaker because I'm like, oh, I'll just stick the alien on him. This will be fine. It took out all the humans, and then that became my problem. Now the alien is in play. He's on the floor looking for me, and it's a tight corridor. Eventually, it saw me through the grate of a vent, ran underneath, took me out, and I was like, oh, God. So second time through, decided not to throw the noisemaker, snuck by those humans. Alien never showed up at all.
Exactly. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that great? Okay, if he's saying he likes it, that's awesome. That's good, okay? But this is the problem. It's like, for him, really cool. That's exactly what these guys are complaining about because it's not predictable. They're like, no, that tool should be able to take those out. Like, that's exactly the point, though.
Yeah, and what
it played completely differently to me. And, it
and what
really
compounds,
cool.
Yeah, it felt really cool. And that's why I think Alien Isolation has developed such a cult following, is because the people that have played it and kind of have those types of experiences where different tactics result in totally different outcomes. That's what makes the game so compelling. But for other people, they just want it to play in a more linear thriller game style way. And it's just not that kind of game. And then it's fair for them not to like it. You don't have to like the kind of game that Alien Isolation is, but to make sort of descriptive statements about it, being like, yeah, so it's just bad. I don't think that's fair.
Compounds the drawn out game too, as we wrap up here, is what, as you guys haven't seen yet, and I can't wait till people start finishing this game. When you finally make it to the end, the ending is not good. It is not a good payoff.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see people's reactions to the end of the game.
So that is a big double-edged sword with game reviews, because like we expect a reviewer to finish a game
Absolutely.
in its entirety.
You wouldn't review a movie after walking out 2/3 of the way through.
Right. Yeah. So we expect a reviewer to finish a game, and if the ending is bad, that leaves you with kind of a bad taste in your mouth. Kind of poisons the whole experience. I mean, a lot of games are good enough, like the original BioShock, for example, was good enough that's like, okay, that ending was not great, but the entire thing was great leading up to that.
Yeah.
But this one was such an up and down thing that it left you in a position where you didn't want to really recommend it.
Yeah.
And just one more thing, you did play a chunk of it on normal as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I noticed like a lot of people said, oh, you shouldn't have played it on hard. That made it no fun. But you did play it on normal, and you were telling me that you didn't think that was going to influence your score at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's still, it doesn't, it'll make your life a little easier, but it doesn't change my criticisms of the game.
Right.
A lot needs to be.
It is a little funny to start the game on hard and then to drop it. It's a little funny.
Said of the ending and having a satisfying ending at the end of any experience, right? And when you look at the Alien movies, even the endings themselves, they're always so nebulous or strange, or there's not entirely an outcome that feels like it was worth it. But when you're talking about a video game where you had someone run this gauntlet up until the end, I kind of wonder how I'm going to feel at the end, because it sounds like it was super unsatisfying. And if that's the case, then I don't know. I kind of wonder if this game, one of its biggest sins that we haven't touched on yet, and we got to go, is that it's sort of too true to Alien in terms of trying to cram in everything, not just the Alien, the companies, the androids and the class systems and all this like weirdness. I wonder if that's kind of why this ended up so long and so drawn out and ended up being an exhausting, really frustrating experience for you. Yeah.
It's a good question. But at the end of the day, it's, you're playing what you get, and what you get is about 3 times too long, in my opinion. I'll be curious to see. Yeah, what do you think of Alien? As you're actually now playing through it, hopefully finishing it, or maybe you are going to decide to just walk away after 5 hours or so.
Let's see what people in the comments thought of it. Shall we? Buckle up. I think it's going to be funny. We looked at these earlier, but let's just see. Ryan McCaffrey. I've never seen a guy look as uncomfortable as he is in this video. Yeah, we saw that one. Legend has it, Ryan sprinted his entire way through this game, stopping only to take slime showers from vents. Look at this guy's shoes. Clearly he has bad judgment. Dude, I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed the shoes. He's got those New Balance. Ooh, baby. Those are like prepped for running mode. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Trying to justify his horrible review. By giving it a 5.9, you're saying the game is 0.4 points better than Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah, let that settle in. Guys, the internet is being mean to me. Let's huddle together and defend my awful review. How is this a discussion? 3 of these people haven't even finished the game. My theory is that the guy who reviewed the game, far left, didn't like the backlash he was getting, so he got a bunch of his friends together in an attempt to say, see, I'm not the only one who doesn't like the game. I mean, I don't think that's even a theory. I think that's literally the point of these IGN discussions. Occasionally there will be discussions they do or did back in the day, I don't know if they still do them, where they have people that just straight up disagree with the take, where it's like, you really gave it a 9, you gave it a 10, you think this is worth $60, you think this is, you know, like this is pretty common for these old discussion videos they did. So yeah, I don't think that's that scandalous, kind of the point of these types of things. Alien Isolation is a great game. I'm loving it so far. Don't listen to these guys that clearly don't know what a good game is. So I think that it's easy to Advanced Warfare got 9.1. It's easy to dismiss these things or to call into question their integrity or good faith, whatever. We've been talking this whole time as we've gone through this about it. And I think the key thing that should be taken away from this is that just because one reviewer didn't connect with the game does not mean that the game is necessarily going to be bad for you, especially if they went into the game with kind of misaligned expectations or they wanted it to be something it just frankly wasn't going to be. And so like, what would be another example? Complaining that like Space Marine 2, complaining that that game is not like, maybe that it doesn't have like a really solid 20-hour campaign or something. It's like, well, that's not what it was trying to be. It's like aiming for a different price point. That's just not what it is. Or complaining that Helldivers 2 doesn't have a story mode. It's like, okay, well, that's just not what it is. And those complaints would be kind of silly in a review, right? To just be like, well, to ding the score because it's not what you wanted it to be is a little silly. I will say these guys have worked for years in this industry. They are OGs through and through. I mean, this video is from 10 years ago, and I think most of these guys are still working at IGN. So they are real gamers. They do play a lot of games. They didn't like Alien Isolation, and it did end up gaining a cult following, which is pretty remarkable. But I think, you know, it's one thing if you put out a review and you're just like, yeah, I was kind of on the wrong side of that one. Whatever. You know, you kind of joke about it. But then there's like doubling down. And this is what people were making fun of that kind of kickstarted this whole segment that we're doing today. And that's this tweet. From Ryan McCaffrey, like yesterday or 2 days ago. He's still senior executive editor at IGN. And he says, Alien Isolation 2 announced. But all those armchair industry experts out there told me that it was my review specifically that killed the sequel. I mean, it wasn't just your review. I mean, having like the biggest games journalism platform come out and give your game a 5.9, that certainly doesn't help greenlight a sequel. So, I mean, it certainly didn't help, but okay. I should review this when it comes out just to F with all those people. Maybe not. Maybe not. This tweet makes you look very weird, man. It is just kind of a weird. It's just kind of a weird thing. Like I don't understand that. You know, I don't get it. It's just a weird tweet. A little odd. Like I think Ryan, he's done a lot of amazing work in the industry. He's been here forever. Nobody's doubting that, okay? He seems like a really good guy. And I get kind of memeing on this a little bit. It's a little funny. Okay, I agree there. But sometimes it's just like, okay, you know what? Everyone, like it's a cult classic. People love it. I hope you enjoy the sequel. I didn't like the original. Lol, IGN sucks. I get it. Just kind of laugh at it and move on. But I swear to God, if he does the review for the second game when it eventually comes out, I swear to God, if he's the one that does it, I will lose my mind. That it would be really, really funny. Okay, it would be really funny. But immediately, like nobody would take it seriously, which then you'd have to ask, what's the point? You know, why are you reviewing it if everybody's just gonna meme on it and laugh at it? You know, but guess we'll see. What do you guys think is the over-under on him doing it? Let's do a poll. I'm going to do a poll. You ready? Let's do it. Let's do it. Da, 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 da. Oh, straw poll is like glitching out. The website's like broken. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just put a regular poll in. Please hold. Please hold. Start a poll. Will he do the review of the second game? Let's try that. Let's try that. Let's see. Let you guys vote on that while I catch up on these real quick. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. Mike DeMeme, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, I thought how Rocksteady unironically made Lawless a kick streamers recording ethical crimes for her views. Tough year for Warner Brothers, Suicide Squad, and Joker 2 bombed. Yeah, they've really blown it this year. It's pretty remarkable how bad. I mean, especially last year they had the pop off with Hogwarts Legacy, and then to go into this year and just blow everything. It's pretty impressive. They are going to be doing that remake of the Harry Potter books, but as part of like an HBO show. And apparently, like, I don't know if this is confirmed, but people were finding that they think they found one of the directors for it, who has been like very, very proud of the fact that they've never read any of the books or messed with it. It's like, why do we keep hiring all these people that hate the source material to do the like remake of the source material? Is it one of the writers? Yeah, it's just such a bizarre thing. Like, why are we doing that? Shouldn't it be like fans that do it? Yeah, see how that goes for you. See how that goes. Oh, man. Rango, thank you for the 2. Loved Mafia 2 as a kid. Those Playboy collectibles. Dude, Mafia 2. It's one of my Christmas games. I play it every time it gets snowy outside. Oh, I love it so much. Mr. Bandana Head, thank you for the 5. Is it okay for me to plug the Red Cross for hurricane relief for Florida? I unfortunately live there, and the devastation is tragic. Yeah, no, I mean, please plug away Red Cross for hurricane relief. What I can do, let me see if I can actually do this here. Jacob, are you in chat? Can you check the, can you check if you're able to add fundraisers to the stream clips? It should be under the monetization tab. See if you can do that and then add the Red Cross and all the clips we're doing today. Because then all of the videos that go up, every time somebody sees the video, it'll prompt them to donate. So we can do that. But yeah, thank you for the plug. That's great. Kevin, thank you. I'm playing BG3 right now and we'll definitely get Veilguard. My only concern is I'm going to hate it because it's not Baldur's Gate 3. This is why I play games. It's why I think it's actually been a blessing in disguise, perhaps, that they went with more of a real-time combat system, third person, instead of the top-down tactical view. It's when they made those choices, well before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, for them, they were just trying to take it in a different direction, but I think it ended up being a really, really good thing because it will make it will make Veilguard feel and the gameplay feel way different than Baldur's Gate, which I think is important. They got to differentiate themselves for sure. Nolan Dixon, thank you for the 10. I can't read today. Got a day off and I'm up in the morning. Time to dono and ask for the Assassin's Creed protagonist tier list since Shadows got delayed. We got plenty of time. Love you, Luke, and glad I made a stream. Thank you, Nolan. Yes, we gotta do that. AC protagonist tier list. Is there a link to it? some of these. Oh man, I just need a full tier list. Is this it? Not quite. Okay. Anyway, I'll keep looking for one that's made. Thank you, Nolan. We'll do that. Caleb, 3 months. What's really bad is forecasts and analysts showing that another hurricane is forming right now. Stay safe, evacuate if you can. Yes. I read that one earlier, and yeah, it's definitely a very bad situation in Florida. Krish, thank you for that. Logan, thank you for the 2. Razorfist did a great review on Alien Isolation. Yeah, it seems like there's just 2 groups of people. There's the people that kind of got it, quote unquote, and then there's the people that didn't. And the people that got it, 10 out of 10. Loved it. Thought it was groundbreaking. Everybody else, meh, no, not for me. Blake, hey, oh, I just scrolled again. Blake, hey, look, we're going to go over the video of the Bethesda dev. P.S. You never did that AC character T-list for that dude. Yeah, I've got it. Yes. Does this one have it? Yeah, we could do this, I think. What? That's one of the tiers. It's just what? So yeah, we could do that. Let's see. Apostinator, thank you for the 2. Thank you, my friend. Joshua, thank you for the 10. Instead of numbers, what if you reviewed games by food items? What food item would Starfield be? Maybe a blueberry pie, tart with long aftertaste, but satisfying to make. What would the food item for Starfield be? Maybe saltine crackers. The first few really hit the spot, but the more you eat, it just starts to dry your mouth out and you realize they're all like exactly the same. And you can open up more and more packages, but it won't do anything, it won't change anything. It'll just be more and more of the same. And somehow the more you eat, the blander they taste. Like the first one had flavor, but the 5th one doesn't have any flavor, you know? Yeah, without a drink. No water for you. That's a good question, Joshua. I like that. Justin, thank you for the 10. IGN gave both Jurassic World Evolution games 4 out of 10 and had the same guy do it twice. He clearly doesn't like park builders. Both games, especially the second game, were not a 4. Yeah, that's the thing, is so much of it relies on reviewers' selection. And if they select just frankly the wrong guy to do it, it's going to go poorly. And it feels like so often they just double down on it and they're just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And to double down on it is what's like particularly bad, you know? That's what's really bad. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird choice. Because it's like, it's not like, I don't know. I would love to know how they do it, how they select it, you know? I would love to know. Do they just, I think what they do is they just select it. I think they just kind of go through their list of available reviewers and they just pick them. They just pick them. And like, okay, you're going to do this. And they just assign it like that. Which is like, it's not the worst way to do it, I guess. But if you mess up on that selection, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a bad time. They spin a wheel. Oh, maybe. Podcast today? Yes, in 40 minutes. We got the podcast. Sumaya, thank you for that. Podcast when? 40 minutes. It's happening. Ryan, hi, Luke. That's all. Just hi. Carry on. Hi, Ryan. Thank you for the 5, my friend. Thank you. And Amazonian, thank you for that. Do you think open world Westeros game would do well? I think I'd have to know more. Like, I don't think we're at the point anymore where open world insert franchise does well. I think Star Wars Outlaws kind of demonstrated that. You can have an open world Star Wars game. Will that be good? Well, it kind of depends on the rest of the game. So I don't think it's a given. Maybe if the right people did it, you could have like the political intrigue that keeps it engaging. I don't think it would be bad inherently, but I think that you just need to know a lot more to decide. Maybe when they do, like, release the book, the next book, maybe that gives it a chance. I'm not sure. Justin, thank you for the 5. Part 2, IGN seems stubborn about their selection and don't really care about some factors like types of reviewers. Yeah, well, and maybe it's just they're trying to defend the reviewers, which props to them for doing. They're like, no, we think they did a great job with their review and we're going to stand by them. And when the sequel comes out, they're going to review it again. Maybe that's just what it is. But again, I think that's part of the problem is they will have something like that where there is I think they'll do something like that where they will. My brain is fried. I lost my train of thought. It's gone. I'm sorry. I got distracted. My brain is gone. Wow. I need more coffee. And then Rango, Dream Game, CDPR, open world Lord of the Rings game. Who do you play as? That's the question. Like fully character selection and all that. Because that could be really good. It could also be really good if Larian did it. Don't do drugs, kids. Yeah. Don't watch too many IGN videos in one sitting. Otherwise, this will happen. Ugh. Gotta be careful. Gotta be really, really careful. Okay. I want to do this tier list thing. Do we have time before the podcast? What if we did it with Joe Raptor as a segment on the podcast? Would that be cool? Because I'm kind of curious what he thinks of some of like mid-age AC games. Like what does Joe Raptor think of like Jacob and Evie Fry? What does he think of Arno? What do you think? I'm actually kind of wondering. Now I'm curious. So maybe we do that. Would that be agreeable? Because now I'm kind of curious. Okay. Because today we're going to be talking about how we save Ubisoft, how we would do it if we became CEOs. Okay, I'll message him now so he can prepare. Okay. I'll do that. Cool Pandas, thank you for the 5. Been a week since I told you I was replaying Inquisition. I don't think I can finish it by Halloween. This game blows ass. Oh, cool. I did ask you to come back and let us know what you thought of it. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I tried to go back and I was like, okay, I'll play through it before we like review Veilguard or whatever. And man, it has aged poorly. It's rough. It's really, really rough. Like, no way it's that bad. Dude. It's just all like the gameplay is really out of date. The combat's really, it is focused wholly on quantity over quality, in my opinion. And cutscenes and voice acting, it's all from like that precipice where in like 2014 there was a shift to modern, like the modern era of open world RPGs and stuff. A lot of it kickstarted by like the success of The Witcher, for example. But most of Inquisition was developed through like the late 360 PS3 era. And so it has voice acting, cutscenes, combat, all that reflects that era, but it came out in 2014. So it's like a newer version of the old stuff. And it just, at the time, I'm sure it was much more palatable, but with modern sentiments and tastes, it's pretty rough. It's like really rough. So yeah, whereas Origins is like old enough that your brain goes, okay, this is older. Okay. But you know, it's a different thing. I am Fire. Hi, Luke. Found you from your hilarious Suicide Squad videos. Glad to catch you live. I'm glad you're here live. And I'm glad that we don't have to talk about Suicide Squad for a while, because I think season 4 probably comes out in like December, maybe January. And I think that's it. After that, nothing else. I think the game is dead. We can only hope, right? But I think that will be it. I think they drop season 4. They do the month and a half or so of support, and then they'll announce that they're shutting down servers. I think that's it. I made a pumpkin coffee today. But it's at the point where the ice is melting, so they're just little pieces, so when you drink it, it keeps trying to like flood your mouth with ice. It's a whole thing. So look up Leo. Thank you for that. By the way, Luke, please search CMA Ubisoft Xbox streaming. Yeah, as part of the deal with the CMA to let the acquisition go through, Ubisoft got the rights to Activision's cloud streaming. So Ubisoft owns the rights to manage the cloud streaming of those Activision Blizzard games, which is bizarre, but that's true. Like, they manage it. It's specifically through the UK, I think, through the CMA UK, whatever. Because the CMA in the UK, their main complaint with the acquisition was not that Microsoft was going to own too many studios. It was specifically that because Microsoft runs xCloud, they have an unfair advantage in cloud streaming. And by acquiring Activision Blizzard King, they'll have that library that will make it unfair. Which I think is really interesting. I think that's really interesting. So... Anyway, what we're going to do, my fam, what we're going to do real quick. Also, Sulky McSulkster. That is a phenomenal name. Thank you for that sub with Prime over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. That's fantastic. Brock, also, thank you for the sub. Thank you, my friends. You all are amazing. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set up for the stream. I will try to get a protagonist rank thing made so Joe Raptor and I can do it, and we'll debate about the top playable characters that have been out. Because I think we'll do the main entry ones. I'm not sure if we'll do like the mobile games and stuff, but we could do the main ones. Yeah, shout out to Sulky. Don't feel so sulky, my friend. Yeah, Inquisition has an MMORPG feel with some of the good parts from an MMO or of a single player game. Yeah, it plays more like an MMO than it does anything else. We have a podcast today. Yeah. A spicy wedge. You guys with your usernames, these are great. That's fantastic. Thank you for that, my friend. Thank you for that sub. I'm also going to be getting the notifications revamped and the sound effects working consistently. I think what we'll do is we'll set the voice to or text to speech to like $10 and up, so it's not flooded constantly, and we'll turn it on during segments and stuff. So if you guys want to interrupt segments, we can do that too. We'll do all sorts of that kind of thing. Jimothy, can't wait for Jordan to talk about Dragon Ball. Yeah, maybe I'll make him read like the IGN review or something. We'll just force him to do it. I think that'd be one. I think that'd be fun. Okay, I'm going to go set up that stream. The podcast will be a separate event. You will see it at 1 p.m., so 30 or 29 minutes from now, 30 minutes from now, and we'll be back and rocking and rolling. Okay? Also, if you are a member, check the community tab on Luke Stevens Live, because there's an exclusive video that went up for you guys and for patrons. Nobody else gets to see it. It's just for you. Go check it out. Every month there are videos like that. It's a little perk of being a member on the channel. So if you've not seen that, go check that out, okay? And if you want to see it and see the other ones, then hit the join button. You can do that, okay? Much love, everybody. We'll be back in 29 minutes for the podcast. Hugs and kisses. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.